Alright, before we start, here are the colors that we need: permanent rose, crimson lake, permanent violet, permanent yellow light, burnt umber, sepia, sap green. For this project, we are going to take inspiration from a peony flower. So as you can see, a peony has just so many petals. It can be overwhelming, but we are just going to simplify it. We are just going to focus on big petals and then add a dark center. So I'm going to show you a different way to paint soft petals that's very easy. But first, let's watch this time-lapse video so that you have an idea beforehand. Okay, I'm just gonna grab some water and we're going to start painting just two big petals with just water. Next, we're going to grab some paint and just paint it on top of that wet surface. And immediately you can see a beautiful soft petal emerge. In combination with this, we also need to do some nice brush strokes to create a more expressive look. You can see right here, I'm really pressing my brush to create those beautiful wispy strokes. Then next, we're gonna add a dark center. So this is just a simplified version of a peony. I don't want you to think too much about so many petals, but at the same time, I want you to create a fluffy flower. And we're going to do that by adding those smaller details. You can see I just added some small lines, and that really made a huge difference. Next, we're just going to paint some simple leaves. It's quite amazing that you can do this in just less than 10 minutes, just with a few simple brush strokes, and you can already have a nice peony flower. Okay, so let's start. We need a jar of clean water, and for this project, let's use a size 8 round brush. Make sure it's soaked in a lot of water. Let's paint the petal on the side. So just simply press your brush and just move it up and down. I'm going to tilt my paper so you can see the reflection of my stroke, since you can't see anything because it's just water. Let's do a petal on the side. I'm going to start from the top, go down, and just move your brush again up and down. You can use the tip of the brush to fix the shape of the petal. You can see that there are actually some spaces where I did not put water. Okay, it's time to add some color. I'm using permanent rose. Okay, let's just lightly press our brush onto the paper and start with the left part of the petal. I'm gonna move to the right side of the petal. I left the middle without color. Next, let's go to the next petal. And you can see I also rinsed my brush so that not all the petals will have that dark pink color. To make it more interesting, let's add violet. So just dilute it in more water so that the color is a little bit light. Just adding it towards the sides of the petals. Next, let's add one more petal, and just using water. You can also flick your brush, just like what I'm doing here, to create some more expressive strokes. So the key here is not to fill in the entire petal with color. You need to leave some spaces as is without any color so that it will dry beautifully. This will make the petals look softer and lighter. Next, let's grab Crimson Lake. I'm going to use this color to add some contrast. Let's add it towards the sides of the petals or in between the petals. And then for the bottom part, we're just going to paint this tiny petal right here. Just press your brush, create some small check marks. Use the tip of the brush and just flick your brush to create those tiny strokes. So this is a flower that is on its side. That's why you have that smaller petal in front. Next, let's grab some yellow and also the burnt sienna. This will add a nice contrast, but I think we need a darker color. So let's grab sepia. This is a nice dark brown color. So when you're painting loose flowers, you have to make sure that you have that dark center because that will pull it all together and make it look nice. You'll notice that the sepia color is actually not moving so much, and that's because I made the mixture more concentrated with less water. As I'm looking at this from afar, I figured that I needed to add more volume. So I'm going to use this diluted permanent violet and add some more strokes. You can see that I'm really pressing my brush onto the paper and creating some little flicks to create that nice wispy stroke. So you can of course extend some petals as well. As long as the petals are still wet, you can still work on it. So right now I'm actually using a size 6 round brush since I'm just trying to adjust the shape. You can add some darker colors. I mixed sepia with a little bit of that crimson lake, and I'm adding it in between the petals. While the petals are all still wet, you can see those strokes are very soft. Okay, let's move on to the stem. I'm going to use sap green with sepia, or use any brown color in your palette. We just want this green to be a little bit earthy. And then let's just paint a thin stem. For the leaves, I want it to be softer as well, so I'm going to use water to paint the leaves. And you can see I'm holding my brush towards the end of the handle because I want this to look more expressive. So what's nice about painting leaves is you can play around with brush strokes. You can paint from the stem going out or from the tip of the leaf going into the stem. Right here, I'm just adding some darker greens and just dropping it everywhere on the leaves. Okay, so the petals are all still wet, but I feel like it's a little heavy. So grab a clean brush and dab it in a tissue paper. Next, I'm going to just absorb some of the colors. This is one way to sort of erase some of the petals that we painted. It's also a way for us to separate some petals, just in case you painted more color in that area. There you go, you can see just a huge difference with what we did. Alright, so that's it for this project. I hope that you